Hello and welcome to Reddit Story Saturday. I'm your host Nick, and today's episode is all about classic AITA posts, trying to figure out if somebody's doing some wrong stuff and if they're right or wrong for doing what they did. If you're excited for this episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's go ahead and get right into our first story. All right, our first story comes from r/am I the buttface. It's pretty much AITA, but just a different way of saying it. That way they could have another server of stuff that they were working with. But am I the buttface for refusing to swap vacation days with my coworker who has kids? I, 25 male, work in a small office. We have a vacation calendar based on schedule provided. Back in January, I booked a week off in September for a trip with my friends and wife. A coworker, 32 female, with two kids asked me last week if I can swap because she forgot to book her kids' fall break. I told her I couldn't. It's been planned for months. I've already bought flights and my friends arranged time off too. She got upset and said, "People without kids should be more flexible. You don't understand how hard it is for parents." I told her I respect that, but it's not my responsibility to fix her mistakes. Now, some other coworkers are saying that I should have just given her the week because kids come first. Others agree with me. So, am I wrong? No, you're not wrong at all. All right, here's the thing. This this sort of circumstance is a circumstance where I'm upset with you because you managed to get the thing that I want. And now that I realize I didn't do what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to make it everybody else's problem instead of what realistically is my own. In this case, she thinks that by pushing it on you that I'm a parent and it's hard for me and I'm trying to make it work. She thinks that by pushing that angle that it's going to make you want to give it up, and you shouldn't. I wouldn't give it up. She didn't earn that. If she knew she needed to get the time on off in September, she should have figured it out when the school calendar was posted in like February or March like it usually is. This is one of those situations where no, you're not wrong. It sucks for her, but it's not on you. You took the time off months in advance. You've already bought flights. I assume you've already gotten the hotels. You and your friends have already arranged to get the time off too. So at this point, no, that's her business, right? That has nothing to do with you. Let's read some comments, see what other people have to say. First comment says, "You should absolutely give her the days if she pays for all your flights, your wife's flight, your friends' flights, and all the accommodations and trips related things that you booked. That's the only way I consider this fair. Why are people so entitled just because they have a few kids?" Yeah, I agree. You know, if I'm gonna give this up, you need to be willing to give up something too. And so if she had also said, "Well, I'll pay you back for everything that you spent if you give up the time," and I'd be like, "All right, bet." I'll talk to the family and talk to my friends, see what's going on. But the point still stands here. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can't expect somebody to make that sort of change without any sort of extra help or advice at all. You know, without any sort of support, and to ask me to do something like that is a bit much. Um, Another comment says, "I've got kids. I'm retired now, but if I was going to ask a colleague to swap paid time off, I would do it with the expectation of being refused. And I certainly wouldn't be bad mouthing them to my other colleagues because it would be my problem, not theirs." Yep, exactly. I mean, how are you supposed to blame somebody else for your own mistake? One more comment. "Lack of planning on their part doesn't constitute an emergency on yours." Yeah, and that's exactly right. I can't blame you because I didn't do what I was supposed to do, right? Like if I know that I need to be off for my kids at this day and I didn't do it, and that's on me. Now I have to figure out what we're gonna do, whether it's getting the grandparents to watch them while I still go to work, or taking time off and then not getting paid for it. Whatever it may be. Now that's on you. You know. Well, all right. We get no update. I just assumed that he just probably said and probably just said no and moved on. But either way, let's move on to our next story. All right, this one comes from AITA. Am I wrong for deleting my friend's wedding photos in front of them? I'm not really a photographer. I'm a dog groomer. I take lots of photos of dogs all day to put on my Facebook and Instagram. It's my thing, if that makes any sense. A cut and a photo with every important. I very seldom shoot things other than dogs, even if I do have a nice setup. A friend of mine got married a few days ago and wanted to save money. Asked if I could shoot it for him. I told him it's really not my forte, but he convinced me by saying he didn't care if they were perfect. They were on a shoestring budget, and I agreed to shoot for 250, which is nothing for a 10-hour event. On the day of, I'm driving around and following the bride as she goes from appointment to appointment before the ceremony, taking photos along the way. I shoot the ceremony itself, and during the reception, I'm shooting speeches and people mingling. I started around 10 a.m. and was due to finish at 7:30. Around 5 p.m., food is being served, and I was told I cannot stop to eat because I need to be photographer. In fact, they didn't even save me a spot at any table. I'm getting tired, and at this point, kind of regretting doing this thing for next to nothing. It's also unbearably hot. The venue is at an old Veterans Legion, and it's like 110, and there's no AC. I told the groom I need to take off for 20 minutes to get something to eat and drink. There's no open bar or anything. I can't get water, and my two water bottles are long empty. He tells me that I need to either be a photographer or leave without pay. With the heat, being hungry, being genuinely annoyed at the circumstances, I asked if he was sure, and he said yes. So I deleted all the photos I took in front of him and took off saying I'm not his photographer anymore. If I was to be paid $250, honestly, at that point, I would have been paid $250 just for a glass of cold water and sit somewhere for 5 minutes. Was I wrong? They went right on their honeymoon and they've been off of social media, but a lot of people have been posting on their wall asking about photos with zero responses. Ooh. All right. Um, so a little bit about me. I am I'm a musician. It's part of what I do, and so I work gigs every so often. I have a personal rule that I don't work gigs for friends and they're like special events. So I don't if a friend of mine is getting married, I don't play in the wedding band for them. I just go be a guest and I go be here. Unless it's like, oh, we want you to play this one song or we really want you to do this one thing. Then that's different. But in terms of work, I don't cross that line because of this thing and just in general. Because now it gets out of my our friendship realm and it gets in the professional world, which is completely different, right? And in this case, for the already off the bat, you've made it clear that I don't like photography in that I am like I like going to events and shooting photos for people for their events. I mean, you take dog pictures and you're a dog groomer. That's what you do. The fact that they still bugged you to do this because they're trying to save money, then at that point, I can't argue about what they look like, right? I can't ask you to sit here and just be photographer all day if I didn't pay you a whole lot and you already told me that this isn't what you do. Um, Also, that's a lot. That's a lot for them to ask you to follow around the bride all day before the ceremony even begins, taking all those pictures from 10 a.m. to what was supposed to be 7:30. That's a lot. That's a long day. And I don't think that's fair to ask of anybody. Not for as little as they paid you, for no food, no drink, and an unbearable circumstance. That's a lot. That's a lot to ask. And I think that they were wrong for doing that. Um, in the case of you deleting the photos in front of them, it's a little harsh, but you're not wrong for it, right? They said either you can stay and deal with the circumstances and be photographer, or you can take off now and you just don't get paid. And so at that point, you weren't wrong because you told them, okay, I'm not your photographer anymore, which means I don't need these photos. All of these photos can go away because I'm not your photographer anymore, right? I don't need it. And so you just delete everything and you get it out the way. You know, in that regard, it's nothing wrong. The problem is that not only has the wedding couple ruined their relationship with this person, but they also have no photos to show for their wedding because it sounds like she was the only photographer they got, and they only got her because they got her for cheap. So I'm like, yeah, no, they kind of deserved what you gave them, right? What you gave them, that's nothing bad at all. Um, let's read some comments and see what some other people had to say. First comment says, "Not the problem at all. You could have risked your health, and they treated you like garbage." Somebody else responded to that saying, "Like they seriously expected her to work for 8.5 hours without food, with little water, and no break. While let's be honest, she was doing this for a favor and not because of the money. How did they think this would go? OP should tell her site before they come back. They're going to spin this to make OP sound awful." Absolutely. I absolutely there. They're going to definitely, especially once they get back and people continuously keep asking about wedding photos, they're going to be like, "Well, this person just bailed on us, and she sat there and got so frustrated, and yeah, I would tell people before people start telling you about that." Next comment says, "They wanted mate rates, but they didn't even save you food. You're not a problem. The dogs are much better than the people that these people call friends." Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. Um, that is another thing too. That if you are a friend of mine, I should have enough respect to say, no, she's here. I'm gonna save her a spot so she can eat something, or at least sit down. You know, um, part of it is that most wedding photographers have contracts and they have systems in place to protect themselves, to make sure that if it's a I'm trying to think of what happened most recently with one of my siblings getting married, but I'm pretty sure in their contract was if it was longer than a 3-hour commitment, they had to provide a meal, or they had to provide a specific break time so that way they can go do whatever they need to do. um yeah, and in this case, you were doing this some favor, and so of course you probably wouldn't have known, especially since you're not a wedding photographer. But still, the point is that this is not an easy job just in general. So for them not to have something in place for you is not right. They should have had something set up for you so that way you can go. We don't have any updates regarding this story. I just assume that they probably just moved on and don't talk to them anymore. But hey, it's what it is. On to our next story. All right, this next story comes from Am I the Buttface? Am I the Buttface for having my family's mugshots as my phone lock screen wallpaper? My younger sister thinks I'm annoying, but I think it's hilarious. Our older sister recently got arrested for making false reports slash claims to LEO. She's also been known to give birth to babies that are addicted to coke, stealing cars, abusing her children slash partners, selling fentanyl, and various other issues, but she's finally been arrested and charged. Our mom, who has since passed, was arrested for fraud, bouncing fake texts out of my accounts she wouldn't have had access to, and our dad for battery against me when I came to save my sister and our mom from his abuse. Our entire family, save me and the sister I have custody of, are actual criminals. And having three immediate family members with unfortunate mugshots and absolutely no family photos made me think, hey, here's some mildly professional photos. Maybe I can make a collage out of them. Then I can have everyone in one place on my lock screen. So here I am with all five of us on my lock screen. My sister, though immediately she laughed, says, don't let our dad see that. It's kind of mean. And maybe it is. But after the stuff these people put me and my sister through, I guess it doesn't seem all that bad to me in comparison. What do you all think? Oh, that's a lot. You know, and not all families are the same. But most families, when they have something like this, it's usually like one or two people. It's like one kid or one parent. But when 3 out of 5 people in the family have been arrested and convicted, that's not a good sign. That is not a good sign at all. Um, to be honest, it's your phone. It's not like you're sharing it on Facebook or you're sharing it on Instagram. It's your phone. It's what you want for your phone. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Um, and plus everybody deals with their trauma in different ways. If this is like a fun, silly way for you to deal with your problems, then that's all fine and dandy for you. Um, I can get where your sister's coming from though, because sounds like she's probably younger, a younger teenager, and in her mind, she's probably trying to still think of her parents or and her family in good light. Um, you know, I would I would just have that conversation of like, hey, this is how I deal with things on a more serious note. That way, I can respect that they're still family, but it's a way to still recognize what's happened and what they've been through. Um, I think it's funny. This is me speaking. I think it's funny every so often, but I don't think I would do that as a like. I don't think I would put that on my lock screen. That would be something I put in like a photo album. It's like, oh hey, remember when this happened? Remember when dad went through this or when mom went through that? I think that's where that stuff would go. But this other stuff, I'm like, I don't know about all that. Well, let's take a look at some comments, see what some comments had to say. First comment says, "You're not a butt face, and I think it's pretty funny too." Somebody responded to that saying, "Actually, it's very funny. At least the family members share the same mug. You all have the right to share the same pose too." That's so goofy. That's goofy. Another comment says, "My sister took a close-up picture of her cat's butthole and used that for her ex photo on her phone. Every time he'd call to say something, we'd laugh when our cat's butthole popped up on the screen." Jeez Louise. That is something. That's a choice. You really chose to do that. One more comment. "I think you should hear her out and change the lock screen. I think it will work much better framed." That's exactly what I was saying. I wouldn't personally put it on my cell phone lock screen, but it would be in an album somewhere. I 100% agree there. All right. Well, that's all we have for that story. Let's take a look at our next story. All right, this next story comes from AITA. "Am I wrong for keeping my website up after being asked to remove it?" Back in November 2018, I was arrested at work in front of my boss and coworkers. It was the most humiliating thing I have ever experienced. I later learned at the police station that I was being charged with multiple felonies. This came as a huge surprise. Luckily, I was able to keep my wits and lawyer up instead of speaking with the detective. For $13,000, which completely wiped out my savings, I was able to retain a criminal defense attorney. However, it cost me everything and I was unable to pay my bond. This resulted in me staying in jail for a total of 54 days. At a status hearing, my attorney presented video evidence of me gassing up my car 3 hours away from where the crimes took place, and I ended up having all of my charges dismissed. When I finally got out, I learned that I had lost my job. I was in the process of being evicted, and my son was in the state's care. His mother was a heroin addict, and I hadn't spoken to my own parents in nearly 15 years. They wouldn't let me go to my girlfriend because they didn't consider her family. Since my release, I've learned that I can't sue the police, and no one gives a crap that I was locked up for 54 days because the detective did poor investigation work. I've gone to the local press about this, and they told me that what happened happens quite a bit. They took down my info but never followed up. So what I did was I created a website sharing my story. I also uploaded the police report and some other important documents from the discovery. Literally, the only reason I was arrested was because an eyewitness said they saw me. If the detective had done his job, he could have verified that I wasn't even in town on the day that the crimes took place. This is what ticks me off the most. My life was ruined because of a lazy employee. I'm writing this now because my website is ranked number 2 on the first page of search results when you type in my town's name. I live in a touristy town and we attract a lot of visitors over the summer. My web traffic has more than quadrupled, and apparently it's gotten someone higher up's attention. I've received a cease and desist letter recently, which I showed to my attorney. He said sharing my experience online isn't illegal and that everything I have stated was in fact or my own opinion, protecting me from a defamation lawsuit. Yesterday, I received a visit from 2 officers and the detective who arrested me. He apologized, stating that mistakes can happen. They then talked to me about my website and asked if I could remove it. I said I would delete it on the condition that the detective leave his job and never do police work again. Suffice it to say, that didn't happen. After the visit I received, I was more ticked off that the only reason the detective apologized to me was to get me to take down my website. I don't plan to, and the only one supporting me in this is my girlfriend. My friends think I'm being spiteful and have suggested that I just delete it. Am I wrong for keeping my website up? Absolutely not. You know, 54 days may sound like a small amount of time because it's not like framed how we usually think things. For context, this guy sat in jail for almost 3 months before he was let loose for a charge he had nothing to do with. That's the problem. It's not that, it's one thing if it's like, "Oh, I spent a week, I spent 2 weeks." He spent 3 months in jail because he had to spend all his money to get an attorney to protect him. Ooh wee. No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong because it's your information. It's all public information and you are just sharing that information. Because that's part of it too. Because it's a police report that had to been a forward facing document, anyone can find that information anyway. So they can't say that you're lying because if they go search out through their police department, they would see that, oh, this is also a real thing. This is something that happened. So in this regard, in this regard, you are not a problem, and you are not wrong for keeping it up. Because I would keep it up, not necessarily despite, but just so people understand that, like, hey, if you get the police department in our area to do work, just know that there is a chance that if you get a certain detective, you could be in trouble. You know, in this case, it sounds like what it sounds like is I don't because he hadn't said what the job was or what the crime was, but he said that it had to do something with an employee who phoned in a call about a crime. So it's well, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what it is that he did, but it must have been bad enough for them to just be like, oh well, I'll take it there. Um, yeah, that's a lot. Let's read some comments. See if some comments have some things to say. First comment says, you should tell them to take down the that you'll take down the website for $13,000. Someone responded to that saying, I'd ask for higher than that, plus the necessary paperwork, time, and misery that came with dealing with your child in state care as well. Yeah, I mean, at that point, that's like lawsuit level of like, hey, fixing this. Um, it does suck that because he said that he talked to his attorney and they said they couldn't do anything else other than get him acquitted of that. Another comment says, "You're not wrong. Looks like you're looking for validation, but I'll give it to you because that sounds like a nightmare. I hope your life improves from here. Take care." Yeah. Um, it just sounds like in this regard, you're not wrong for doing that, but it's also like why are you keeping it up? Like for me, if it like earlier when I was talking about keeping it up so other people understand what's going on, what is it that's driving you? Why are you putting it back in? We did get an update, so let's read this update. Holy moly, thank you for the outpour of support, everyone. I never thought posting this to an online community was going to reach the right eyes so quickly. I had written this on my lunch break and was completely blown away and brought to tears when I checked back in after work. Several people reached out with helpful resources, including a litigator on Reddit who put me in contact with a colleague who practices in my state. Apparently, there is a precedent, and people have won against the state, although it did take a couple years. My intent was to answer more questions since I wasn't able to do that at work. I was also going to post the website as it's been a popular request. However, I've been told not to continue further discussions beyond what I've already posted if I wish to pursue a civil suit. Just a couple things I want to address in my update here. Some people who are saying that I'm leaving out details. My original post was much longer, but there's a 3,000 character limit in post. I do delete a lot of things from my initial draft, so I apologize if it looks like details were left out. I did try to make sure everything was relevant was kept. Lastly, my son is back with me. There was a lot of paperwork and even a court hearing, but we're together now, and that's all that matters. I'm sorry if I didn't respond to your comment or private message. I'm still going through my unread messages and I still have quite a lot to read. Truly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support, words of encouragement, and advice that you sent my way. I can't even begin to put into words how grateful I am. Again, thank you so much and all the kind strangers who went out of their way. That's nice. It looks like there might be some moves towards getting some financial help again through the circumstances they went through. I don't know if there was another update after that. Nope, no extra update after that. Hopefully, I was hoping we'd be able to maybe figure out what the case was about, but I guess it's because they're trying to look at possible civil suits in the future. I mean, I'm not surprised. All right, well, let's get on to our next story. All right, this story comes from Am I the Buttface? Am I the buttface for telling my best friend I can't be her maid of honor because she's cheating on her fiance? Title really says it all. My best friend of 12 years lives in another state and has been in a relationship with his girlfriend for 5 years and recently got engaged. They're planning to get married next year, and she asked me to be her maid of honor, to which I previously said yes. Over the last couple months, she's been confiding in me that she's been cheating on her fiance. And I don't mean one accidental thing, I mean full blown, intentional, ongoing affair. I have been having many conversations on the phone with her about the situation, and she has seemed to be remorseful and knows that what she's doing is wrong and has expressed many other issues with the relationship and know that I should break up with her. So I've been trying to help her get to the point of breaking up, which I know is hard to do when you've been with someone for so long. So I'm trying to have some empathy and grace for why they haven't broke up yet. However, this has been going on for so long now that we are all going back into our hometown for Christmas and we're supposed to all hang out with our high school friend group and partners. I haven't seen my friend's fiance since knowing all this, and I'm deeply uncomfortable with keeping this secret. I thought they would have broken up by now, and I didn't know that I'd be put in this situation. So I called my friend and told her that I loved her, and I'm here for her, and know that she has to deal with things on her own. But I'm not comfortable being around her and her fiance knowing what I know. She got real ticked off at me and basically attacked me for 45 minutes, calling me a terrible friend and saying that she told me those things in confidence and wouldn't have told me if she knew I felt this way. I told her that I was keeping it in confidence and that it was putting me in a bad situation. And if she wanted it to continue to be in confidence, I probably shouldn't be around them together. So she could deal with it on her own time. She made it pretty clear that she never actually intended to break up with her fiance and still plans to marry her and never tell her about the affair. I'm quite shocked because I thought this whole time that there was not going to be a wedding and that she knew that she was doing what would end the relationship. Now it's clear she wanted me to just keep her secret and be the maid of honor to her wedding and is convinced that there's nothing wrong with what she's doing as long as her fiance never finds out. And she breaks it off with the person she's been seeing and they move on and are happy. This is so wrong to me and I can't be a part of it. She thinks I'm being a bad friend and this may end a 12-year friendship. Am I wrong? Whoa. Whoa. That's rough. Okay. Oh, okay. So I just misread this wrong. So this is this is a OP and his friend who is a woman who is okay. That's why I was like I don't know. There was a lot of she's in there and it kind of threw me off. Either way, absolutely, you're not wrong for that. Here's my thing is always on cheating is like it's immediately a no-go. It's immediately like a red flag, and I don't cross those lines. Um, I've always had a rule, and my closest friends all know this about me is that if you tell me you're cheating, you got a week to tell them or I tell them because I don't keep secrets like that. Because if you knew that my significant other was cheating on me and didn't tell me, I would never forgive anybody, right? And so I'm like, no, if you're cheating, you gotta give that up, and you gotta come and face the facts of your decision. You made a bad decision, you have to live with it. In this case, he should have realized that something was going on, or OP just in general should have realized something was going on when it had been a couple of months since they were initially told about what happened, right? OP says that over the past couple months, meaning that a couple months ago is when he found out about the information. When that happened, that should have been the moment to say, "Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm wipe my hands clean of this." Right? I'm happy that OP is saying here now that like, no, 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 no. We're all supposed to be together. I cannot. I'm not gonna be able to hang out with you and keep it secret. Because I mean I wouldn't either. It would come up. That conversation would come up. Um Yeah, no, you're not wrong here, and I hope nobody in your personal life has made you feel that way either. No, this person is just making a bad decision, and I hope that it doesn't impact you as badly. Let's what's it called? Let's look at some comments to see what's going on. First comment says, "Your friend is a cake eater. Her fiance deserves to know what she's marrying, and you're not wrong, nor are you a bad friend here." Um yeah, yeah. Cake eater is referring to having your cake and eat it too. Um, no, absolutely. I fully agree with you there. That you need to know what you're getting into. I just through reading that, I was thinking about the fact that um, it's probably financial. Why the why the why the friend hasn't said anything? They're probably wanting to keep that relationship because there's probably something going on where the physical aspects of living together are outweighing the social emotional parts that are going on in their relationship. We got another comment saying that she's never going to break it off with the partner. She'll just stop telling you about it. Yeah. I mean that's true too, you know. And in this regard, this person is not going to walk away from this habit or this lifestyle. This person is going to continue doing that, especially since it's been a couple months of you trying to get her to say something and she still hasn't. She's not going to change it now. It'll be somebody new. It'll be another person, another aspect involved. And and like you said too, you know, it's one thing when it's one circumstance that happened, you know. This happened one time and you don't really agree with it, but it happened one time. And then, you know, that happened and then you flip it on its head and you're talking about like a full-on relationship that she's having with a separate person. And that's the biggest problem is that it is just a full-on separate person that they're continuing to have a relationship with. Um, we don't have an update, so sadly, there's nothing else going on there. But hopefully, it sounds like OP is just like, nope, I'm done. We're not talking, and we're not friends anymore. I'm hoping that's what happened. Hopefully that relationship gets split off, and the person who got cheated on is getting what they need because that sucks. I feel so bad. All right, let's move on to our last story. All right, our last story comes from AITA. Am I wrong for asking my brother not to bring his boyfriend to my wedding? Okay, this is the worst. I'm losing sleep over this. I'm getting married in a week to an awesome woman, and I can't wait to be her husband. We're so excited. My brother is gay, but my family doesn't know. Only me and my parents do. I come from a very old school traditional family. So the older part of our family, grandparents and some aunts and uncles, still have last century's mind. And the younger portions, the cousins and siblings, are open minded and are living in the present. So my brother has been dating his boyfriend for 6 months now. The dude is great. I'm happy my brother found somebody great, but it's kind of a secret, and he hasn't told the rest of the family he's gay. I've been telling him for years that he should come out because I know it stresses him out a lot, and I think it would make him feel better to not have to hide anymore. Plus, I bet a few family members already know about it anyway. But he disagrees because he knows a part of the family won't accept him and it'll always be a lot of drama. I see the opposite. I see it as the sooner you know who the idiots are, the sooner we can cut them out of our lives. I have no interest in having someone in my life that doesn't accept my brother being gay. Anyways, that's his decision, not mine. So for now, he won't say anything. Until a few weeks ago, he said he wants to bring his boyfriend to my wedding. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, so he went from 0 to 100 pretty fast. If it had been any other occasion, I would have been supportive, obviously, but I don't think my wedding day is the day to do that. Imagine all of the drama and gossip that would happen. And I don't want to get the attention away from my fiance. It's her day. And I don't want to have to worry about that on my wedding day. And I think it's a pretty good reason. I asked him why my wedding day. He said it's because he wants to celebrate love with the two people he loves the most, me and his boyfriend. This is killing me. I would fight my whole family for my brother and never speak to them again if I had to. But my wedding day is supposed to be a celebration, not a family fight. And I can't do this to my wife. That might ruin our future. I didn't even tell her. She's already stressed out. Don't want to make it even worse. With a heavy heart, I asked him to please come alone to the wedding and that I hope he understands me. He started crying and left my house without saying anything. The next day, I got a text and he said, "Don't worry, I'm going alone." I tried calling him, but he didn't answer me. My parents don't seem to know what's happening because they didn't say anything. He eventually called me back a few days later. We spoke. He said he understands my side, but things are still pretty weird between us. This is the worst situation of my life, and am I wrong for handling it the way that I did? P.S. I also want to thank the Redditor who sent me a private message saying that they hope. Oh my goodness. Uh, this is satirical. I want to thank the Redditor who sent me a private message saying they hope somebody comes and destroys our wedding. How thoughtful. Yes, number two. Thanks for all of the gold and upvotes. We got a little tiny clarification. Um, for one, I spoke to my fiance, couldn't keep this from her anymore, and she agreed with my decision. I know that it wouldn't be my brother that caused trouble. The trouble starts with the remarks from some aunt or uncle. Doesn't matter. We are spending a lot of money on this wedding. We planned it for a long time. My fiance put her heart and soul into planning this wedding. I don't want to see my bride or my mom crying or some idiot insulting my brother. Literally every other day of my life, I will support my brother's decision to come out. Even at the wedding, I would absolutely defend him. But the point is not at the wedding. Also, my brother is not wrong. Not at all. Um, this is the hard one because logically, I get where this is coming from, right? I get exactly where this is coming from, and I can kind of agree with it in that this has nothing to do with you coming out. You coming out is awesome, and I'm 100% there for it. My thing is my wife has worked incredibly hard to try and make this her favorite day ever or whatever. Um, and I don't want to be the one that takes it from her. Now, my views on weddings is a little different because my thing is like the wedding isn't the most perfect day ever for me. The wedding is just the start of the rest of our lives. So it's just like, oh yeah, well, I want to start on the right foot, but it's not the end of the world if something weird happens. But like I said, I'm a dude and I think differently. What he is saying here is I don't want to ruin my wife's day over something that we could handle on a different day, right? If we know we can if we know we can choose to handle it on a different day, let's do it on a different day, right? It's kind of it's almost this in the same vein of like people who will announce that you know I'm at my brother's wedding and I announce that I'm pregnant, or I'm at my brother's wedding and I propose to my girlfriend. You know, it's one of those things where like on any other day I would be here and supporting you and happy for you, but we shouldn't be doing this on your wedding day, right? You shouldn't be doing this on my wedding day. That, and I think that's at the end of the day, that's the biggest point that he's trying to make is just like, am I wrong for telling him that? And I don't think he's wrong. But I can also get like I can get where you're coming from because it's conflicting because it's like you in this idea you are preaching that, oh yes, at any day of the week I would support you, but then actions like this it kind of seems like it's in contradiction with it when it's not really in contradiction. It's just you're going through a circumstance and this is how you have to deal with it, right? um no, I don't think you're wrong. I'm happy you spoke up to your fiance. I was gonna say something about it till we got to the bottom. I'm happy you spoke up and had that communication with her. Um, but like I said, I think this is more so to be honest, if you want to bring them, then you should probably do that before the wedding. Well, actually, no, that's actually a bad idea. Because if you do it before the wedding, there's a lot of people that may drop out and may cause problems when you get there. I think after the wedding, you need to have this conversation, though. If this is going to continue to be a thing, you need to do this after the wedding. Whatever it is, you just need to get it. Whether it's when the brother when the OP and his wife get back from the honeymoon, I think you just tackle it then and let it go. Um, Overall, I don't think he's wrong because I think in this regard, it's like no, we are trying to make decisions for you to what's it called? We're trying to make decisions that kind of work for everybody. And in this case, we don't want to take away from my wife, but I do want to let you know that I care about you and I want the best for you. Let's check out some comments and see what some comments had to say. Our first comment says, "You're not wrong. I'm a queer and I gotta say, a sibling's wedding would not be the place to trot out that in my life. It's your wedding and it's your day. Although I have to say, if your wife is level headed, that she wouldn't let a family fight ruin your relationship. Uh, I have to say, is your wife level headed enough that she wouldn't let it ruin your relationship? That's a good question to ask. But in this regard, we're humans. I can be level headed enough to say, yeah, she was right to make that decision. But it'll still always bother me that, oh, Matt chose my wedding day to hash this out when he could have waited a day. There will always be that voice in the back of your head. You just don't want to put that in people's minds, right? You don't want to make that an option for people to go through. Next comment says, in my opinion, this is a no one's wrong here. You're clearly trying to prevent an extreme blowout at your wedding that can and possibly ruin it. Your brother is most likely trying to avoid some measure of backlash he feels he will receive by coming out, and by doing so in a situation that wouldn't be socially acceptable for people to flip out about it. Both of you have understandable reasoning here, but I think the one who is in the wrong is your brother on this one. He's acting to take advantage of your wedding while you're just trying to enjoy it. I would tell him it's fine to bring your boyfriend, but only if he chooses to come out to the family at least a couple weeks in advance to the wedding. If he's planning to come out at your wedding, then it's not going to be okay. Um, I mean that's a perspective. I don't think that your brother is like maliciously trying to take advantage of it. I think it might just be a subconscious thing that he's like, oh, um, I think this will work for us. I do agree that I do agree with that idea though, because I don't know how long he said he had till the wedding from the beginning of the post, um, up to a few weeks before the wedding. So yeah, he's got a couple weeks. If he had said it now, I would get it and I could understand it a little bit. I don't think that the brother is a problem here. I just think that, um, what's it called? I don't think that's a problem. We do have a comment from OP. To clarify one thing, the issue is not that he's only been dating the guy for 6 months. The issue is him coming out at the wedding day. and there is no time to come out to the family before the wedding. It's happening next Saturday, and family is scattered. They're only meeting on wedding day. Okay, so yeah, never mind then. That changes everything. He just said all of a sudden that the wedding is next week. Yeah, never mind. No, you need to wait till after the wedding. I mean, you just need to wait. One more comment. All right, coming from another gay person, a wedding is not a place to come out to your deeply homophobic family. Maybe things won't go badly for him, but he'll be physically safer, and it's not right. Plus, I say the odds of a very dramatic fight happening is a solid 95%, and frankly, you don't want your wedding day to be tainted with those kinds of memories. It's not fair to you or your fiance. All you can do is keep supporting and loving your brother. Yeah. Um, I think that the best thing for you to do is after the wedding, you just need to go on social media and you need to make that post to your family and whoever is involved, whatever Facebook page, whatever. You need to come out on a way where you can share that with people and they can interact with you, right? They can't interact with it. And they can't come by your house, they can't physically see you. I think that's just the best way to do that. And I agree with all these comments saying that the wedding is just not the place to do that, because it's not. I mean, as much as it sucks, it's just not the place for that kind of exposure. But that's what we have for that story, and that's all our stories for today. And that last one kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. We had a little bit of a moral dilemma. Um, but I hope you guys enjoy today's Reddit story Saturday. I hope you guys continue to watch out for any videos if you're interested. Make sure to check out our channel. We got a whole lot of Reddit stories you can check in on if you hadn't already. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure to like the video if you enjoy. And of course, we'll see you guys next time.